tuned in to Iggy's Fantasy and Betting, the podcast that puts trophies on your mantle and money in your pocket. Now, your host, coming to you high from the Rocky Mountains, IDP Iggy.
About to get it going for you, baby. It's going to be a lot of fun. 200th episode. We're going to be rocking and rolling. Going to be starting it off right. YouTube, you're getting some extra content. I love you guys. Thank you for the subscriptions. It's time to rock and roll, though, baby. You know what I'm saying? We are here to record the 200th episode. Yeah. I am so pumped. I'm going to start the party off right. You know how I get down. Like Charlie Brown, baby, Pigpen style. You know what I'm saying? Oh, yeah, Up in Smoke. I know on the radio y'all didn't get to hear that on the podcast, but that was out the pipe. Don't worry, got the bong loaded for the end of the day. Pigpen, man, one of my favorite characters in any movie. Out cold. One of my favorite movie lines from any movie ever made. He says, why I gotta piss in a cup to tell you how to do drugs? Well, that was pretty funny, man. That's back in the day when marijuana was considered a drug, you know what I'm saying? But we're getting down, man. 200th episode, everything on tap. Got Mock Mondays. Just showed you the Brett Favre card on the YouTube, man. 1995 playoff edition. Pre-Super Bowl cards. I'm going to be getting a lot more into memorabilia. We got the Sports Illustrated catalog. We're going to start putting it on the website. We're also going to have the eBay going. So you memorabilia people, let me know. I know, I guess they call the 90s the overrun era, so to speak, because there's a lot of memorabilia from that era. But hey, you know, I was born in mid-80s, baby. So I got a lot of the memorabilia over here. You can't see it. This is like for the patron wall. Make sure you go check out the patron account. Get that loaded. 200th episode, man. 200th episode of Iggy's Fantasy and Betting, man. That takes work. I don't care who you are. We're just a little over a year in. It's the start of the 13th month, actually. So the start of the 13th month, we've got 200 episodes. I'm really thankful for all the team and everybody that's all helped me, everybody that's been on the show. Keep in mind, Tuesday, I'm going to be on Outside the Huddle with the UK guys. We're going to be going over some over-under betting. It's going to be a lot of fun, a whole lot of fun, man. But, you know, today's Mock Monday. I'm going to try to keep it all about fantasy, but it's just about the experience, man. 200th episode. We've been right on a lot of going on this show. The list has been right. The tiers have been right. Last year's draft we did excellent. I mean, I finished so well in almost every draft or every league I was in. It's one of my best years I've had. But it takes consistency, just like 200 shows. It takes getting up, you know, every morning, doing research, looking at what you're going to do, doing research at night. You know, last night I finished up the article on the defense. Remember, you can go check it out, guys. The website has everything for us now. The articles are there. Any kind of platform or most platforms you listen to, you can click the subscribe button. You can get on the Patreon there, but the blogs are there. I went over the Seattle Seahawks defense, man, and just doing this little bit of research every day. Like I did San Francisco, and I was going off my rankings. But once you go through a division and I start looking, I was like, San Francisco is in trouble, guys. They finished 6-10 last year. And then I did the Seahawks at 12-4. And when you go look at the betting lines, they have the lower betting line out of the two. And I'm just like, man, how is Seattle going to get dethroned from 12-4 when they didn't lose a lot of talent and they brought in a great deal of defense? You know, Al Woods, Kerry Hyder, Akila Witherspoon, starter from San Francisco, Aldon Smith. Also, for some veteran depth, Kerry Hyder, starter from San Francisco. So they got in-division players that know a team really well. And on top of that, you got Carlos Dunlap, Bobby Wagner, Jordan Brooks, Jamal Adams, Keandre Diggs. I mean, that's a loaded defense. So just saying, go check it out. It's a quick read, man. You can read I make sure to keep these under 5 minutes of reading. You go there, you're going to find out IDPs on every team, what I think about their defense, their coordinator, what their strengths are, and, you know, a little summary of why I believe that way, you know. So go check them out. Really good articles to go read, you know. And that's just part of what I love about fantasy football, why I enjoy betting, living in a legal state that's betting. Man, it's a lot of fun. and I just got into it. I'll never forget, shout out to Mark Smith, still playing in our league of record. We've played together 11 years now, and he's the one that got me into it. We were living in this really ghetto part of a town called the Carlisle. I mean, we didn't have a yard. There was fires frequently in like our little like pea gravel courtyard area. Man, it was fun times, dude. But he convinced me to play fantasy football because I was like, man, fantasy, nah, dude. I'm all about my Packers. I don't really want to, be paying attention to anything else, yada yada. But he knew I was super into football. He convinced me to play. It turns into a lifelong passion. I create a podcast about it. I kind of make my profession betting now into it. It's just awesome to see where it's been going, dude. And if you're asking me one reason why I think you should play fantasy football, it's just fun. It opens up a new side of the game for you. You'll develop relationships, that, even if that's all you talk about, that's how several relationships are. There's people at work that I've worked with, I should say, that all we talked about was work. We didn't talk about anything else. And there's just, that's how relationships go, so to speak. You don't talk to the same way to your grandmother that you do your best friend at the bar, or, fill in any other scenario. That's just how that kind of goes. But for me, fantasy football has turned into a lifelong passion. Like I said, I was already a sports fan. A lot of this stuff is from when I was a kid, and then fantasy just turned that into overdrive. And man, I have developed lifelong connections, and you'll just root for other players. It's something I noticed as a kid. I used to take it really personal if Green Bay lost. Man, I would just be kind of pissed off. Man, what the, go outside and go shoot the basketball for like 2 hours, be all pissed off because my team lost. I was a little kid. And but I think as you get older, you understand like business a little better. You understand like there's you're always going to be loyal to your team, but I think you appreciate other players that aren't on your team, as long as they're not on your rivals, right? Like, it's hard for me to appreciate a Bear, but I'd respect Brian Urlacher. That's about it. No, I'm just kidding. Cleo Mack's pretty good. There are some good players over there that you have to respect. And it's just part of what makes fantasy fun. And you start paying attention to teams that you may not have paid attention to, and you get to have like something to root for Thursday night, Sunday afternoon, Monday night, Sunday night. It's like, you have something to look forward to on top of that. And I started playing IDP, this will be my 10th year playing IDP. Mark, he set up that league, and me being kind of with my mentality of always thinking I can improve a system, I took over a commissioner, and he's liked it. I still take Kenny's input. Our league of record, I'll throw out an idea of being a dumb commissioner, and then I'll allow them to digest it and give me feedback. And of course, that always creates a debate. But that's also something I like in fantasy. Like, in the 3 charity conferences going on right now, there's a diversity of people. Some people are talking a lot. There's a lot of interaction. Other ones, there's not so much. You can, some of these people I met you on Twitter. Some of them I met y'all on Facebook. Some of them are friends, and it's just a fun way to interact, and it develops relationships. But to bring it back to IDP, I am IDP Iggy after all. I've been playing for IDP for 10 years because I realized, Mark, I want to play with defensive players, because I played defense my entire life, and I've always appreciated the ball, that side of the ball. But to include it and to convince people why you should be playing IDP, which there's several people playing IDP in the charity league for the first time, and I am so pumped. Remember, I got the draft kit, guys. It covers IDPs first, but it also has the exact same amount of people for tiered positions, from quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, defense, special teams, kickers. It lays it all out. A lot of great information. Coordinators are on there, game plans, comparison on like people's roster. Like if you're just trying to take a quick glance, you're in one of those leagues where you get like 30, 45 seconds to pick. What do they have? Good quarterback, good wide. It's all there for you. $10 draft kit. Go check it out. It's on the website, man. But the IDP tiered system, I always wanted to play, and for those not playing that listening to this show and like, I know a lot of people don't necessarily understand it or grasp it. I feel like a lot of people, a lot of commissioners specifically, will rush into IDP and they don't really know. They have a great system going. 4 or 5 years of being a commissioner on offense, but they don't understand the scoring, and I don't think most platforms understand the scoring either. They kind of set it up to be like a secondary or third position, like something you can just worry about at the end of your draft. In the charity league, that's not the case. You can go pull a linebacker in round 4. And you can be happy that you chose him because he's going to rock and roll, get you. If you choose the right linebacker, one of the top 5, he's going to get you just as much as any top tier running back, top tier wide receiver. And that's how you make it fun. Now all of a sudden you care more about that position. You invest more time researching. You start watching that side of the ball, which most people don't watch defensive side of the ball at all. And you'll pick up on little things that'll just make you inherently like the game more. But the bottom line on why you should be playing with IDP, it's a lot of freaking fun, man. If you think about football, what are the most exciting plays? Interception, pick sixes, huge sacks on third down when the crowds are roaring. And then you got TJ Watt coming. He's got double team, swims this guy, does a spin move off the running back, and bam, goes and crushes Joe Burrow or Baker Mayfield or some division rival. I mean, I don't even like the dang Steelers, and I'm getting freaking pumped up over here wanting to just see TJ Watt just wreck somebody, man. Take it to whatever team you like. Zadarius Smith coming off with the sack. I spent, to get hyped for the charity league, I spent like 20 minutes watching nothing but Charles Woodson highlights, man. Go look at 2009 Charles Woodson. That'll make you love IDP too. A guy getting 9 interceptions, scoring 2 pick sixes, forcing a lot of fumbles, getting sacks. You want those plays. You don't want to get those points. You don't want to get pumped up when you're watching it, even if it's just your favorite team and you know just the defensive player, a few defensive players on your favorite team. Once you get into the draft, you'll just start seeing these players. You're going to have people talking to you, people that are into IDP. They're all over Twitter, man. There's several of them in the charity league right now. They're more than happy to try to share any advice with you, answer. I've seen most of the IDP community is very friendly. We have to be because we're branding something that's kind of new. And I've heard a lot of some Sirius XM guys and some FS1 people say that IDP will never catch on. It's just a fad, or it's just like a subculture, And I just say that's baloney, man. It's really catching on because the truth is fantasy football can't go too many places. It added Superflex. Oh my gosh, that's a big deal. You added the flex, the Superflex. Now you've added the third wide receiver for a lot of them. And the mock we're going to do, that's the standard. I just went off a standard 12 team, 3 wide receiver, 1 flex, 1 defense, 1 kicker, 6 bench. Just standard points all the way around just to get people an idea for that. And that's fine, especially if you're in your first year. By all means, play that. But once you get going, you're going to want to be intrigued. You want to play IDPs. You're going to want to set up more point systems and make it your own. And it really boils down to the relationships, but the IDP aspect of it just makes it so much more fun. It's like you're playing with half of whatever game you want to say. You're playing with half the battleships on Battleship. You're playing with half the weapons on Clue. You're playing with half the chessboard, or you're not utilizing half your chessboard in a chess match. That's just not exciting. That's not how the game is meant to be played. And I think that IDP is one of the very few avenues that fantasy football can go, and it's definitely turning into something more popular. So there's no reason not to play it. We have 6 IDPs in a 16-team league. Doing the math, that's 6 times carry 3. That's 96 starting defensive players every week, and it's no problem. We have people on the waiver. We're getting waivers checking out each and out week. There's plenty of, there's 11 on offense, and you're only utilizing essentially 5 or 6 of those guys because 5 of those are linemen. All right, and then on the defensive side of the ball, you can utilize all 11. Think about that. And there's no reason for them not to be there. You can utilize all 11 players on the defensive side of the ball. And what's also great, I haven't even talked about it, let's go with my Green Bay Packers. I think they're going to have a great year. You could go in and say, who's going to be the leading sack artist if you're in a sack lead? Okay. Or who's going to be a good tackler? Okay, I'm going to go grab Darnell Savage, but I'm also going to grab the Green Bay Packers. Now when we're playing, everybody thinks Jared Goff's going to be bad. I think he's going to be all right, but let's just say for Pete's sake that they're playing Jared Goff. They whipped him up pretty bad in the divisionals with a good offense in the Rams, right? So he goes in. I think Darnell Savage is going to get him, or I think Zadarius Smith is going to have a 2-sack game. Boom, you go in. Now you've gotten the sacks from Zadarius Smith, which should be a lot of points, and you've doubled down on that defense, special teams, and you've gotten the sacks again from Zadarius Smith. Boom, boom. I mean, from a gambling aspect, that's just what you want to do. I love the double down. It's one of the most fun. I think it's more fun than stacking a quarterback with the wide receiver, because it's a big play on defense that gets you those points. You can kind of chip away and get tackles, or you can chip away and get like an 8-catch, 60-yard game and have a decent game. But you want the big plays. You want the sack. Let's say Zadarius Smith really went off and got his second sack was a sack strip fumble. Oh my gosh, now you've got that for your team defense, and you've got it for Zadarius Smith. Get off the gas, man. Let's smoke ones, because let's hope that happens a lot. Let's hope we get a strap. Here's to the sack strip fumble of Jared Goff by Zadarius Smith. Oh man, some tasty stuff we got here too to celebrate the 200th episode. We don't play with the bottom of the barrel, you know what I'm saying? We're up here at the top. We're the cream, baby. We're not at the bottom of the barrel. But, that's just one example of IDP, how it can be so much fun. You want Blake Martinez and you're a Giants fan, go get both of them. Boom, boom. Now you're playing against the Cowboys. Blake Martinez gets 2 fumbles, 12 tackles. You've got both of those for your team. Now you're feeling freaking pumped, dude, because whether people want to admit it or not, we all love defensive players. And I haven't even mentioned the fat defensive tackle, rumbling 300-something, 40 pounds, picks up that football. Is about as graceful as I don't know, somebody in loafers on the ice skating ring, and he's stumbling, and he's got the DBs around him and the linebackers, and they're all pushing people away from him and blocking because he's going so slow, and he's just stumbling, and he can just do everything he can, and just Leon lets it across the goal line out of breath and passes out, and and when that happens at a home stadium, a defensive tackle picks up and gets a rumble fumble 6, what I like to call. That is one of the most uplifting plays in a stadium, and as a fan you're watching it because it's in such slow motion. And what feels like slow motion, because we're used to seeing wide receivers and running backs with the ball, and you have this big 330 pounder, and he goes and he makes it, and it's just like you're like watching, you're like, it's one of those moments you're in the, like, up wherever you're watching it at the bar or at your house, and you're like dancing and like, yeah, and you're already yelling because you have time to watch this person go make it into the end zone. And if you don't love that play or that scenario, then you're probably not a fan of football, and you may not be watching fantasy football or playing football or participating in fantasy football, because that's the most exciting play in football. I don't care what anybody says. The second closest one's a kickoff return, and if you don't have defense, special teams, then you're not going to get that one either. So just don't knock out the plays, but that's why you should play with IDP. It's fun. The most exciting plays are on the defensive side of the ball, and you're denying yourself half the chessboard. Let's play with the full chessboard, everybody. You know what I'm saying? What I have received from fantasy football is, I'm trying to make my career doing this. I'm a professional gambler right now. We've had 200th episode in the podcast. Everything's getting and going for that. But that's secondary, because really what it is for me is relationships. The relationships of fantasy football, it's just where it goes. I'll never forget Tom Coughlin retirement speech, and he said that the relationships is all that matters. He's like, yeah, the Super Bowls are great and the grinds are great, but it's all about the relationships. And that's fantasy football is no different. Even in this chat, in the leagues, I got people from the UK and Hawaii and Brazil, and we all communicate and talk to each other and enjoy each other's time and talk something that we're passionate about. It's about the relationships, and these are going to be lifelong developed relationships. We talk about things outside of fantasy football. We check on each other's mental health. We check on each other's well-being. We check on each other's families. And that's kind of just the reality of it, man. That's what makes fantasy football great, the relationships. But and it goes, like I said, Mark Smith, shout out to Mark Smith, first person to get me to play fantasy football. Eagles fan. God, Eagles fans are the worst, aren't they? Jesus Christ. No, just kidding. I know there's a lot of Eagles fans out there in the charity league. And we still talk to this day. We've gotten into huge arguments over completely stuff that's not even related to fantasy football, but we still check on each other. We were at the same time, same area in life. That has a lot to do with things. We watched the Carlisle, the ghetto I talked about, get rammed down, and so a huge conglomerate, like expensive apartment thing could be built. Gentrification, but to Tybo and to Ryan and to Big Ambo and the outside the huddle guys, Phil, 50 Shades of Drunk, Jordan, Alex, Fantasy Football Hustler, Liam, both the Liams, Richard, Murph, all these people, man, and we're all working together for a common goal, for something we love. The relationships are what it's all about. There's no doubt about it. All right, 200, man. It's a big number. It takes a lot. 200 brushing your teeth 200 times in a year. Think about that. Some people don't get there. It's just anything with 200. It means that you're putting in the time, guys. And I just want you to understand that. It's consistency over here. There's several mornings at 5 a.m. I don't feel like getting up and recording the show, but you got to, and that's what like I said, one of the greatest advice came to me from somebody that said, well, man, it was about working out at this point in my life. And he's like, well, anybody can work out when they want to work out. That's easy. He's like, what separates the great ones from the okay ones are the ones that go work out when they don't want to work out. And I was like, yeah, it's, you can apply that to anything. You're not working, the ones that are great at fantasy, the ones that are great at sales, the ones that are great at building things, the ones that are great at being a parent and a role model and a community uplifter. They're putting in the time, they're putting in the consistency, they're doing it over and over and over and over and over again. That's what makes these NFL players so great. They run the same route thousands and thousands and thousands of times. As a defender, you look at playbook and film for thousands and thousands of hours. You study your opponent. You've made the same tackle dummy drill over and over again. You've watched the guards and looked to see what they do as an inside linebacker your entire life. It's this routine of consistency, and that's how you're going to be good at fantasy. Pick a time that works for you, no matter what app or what platform you're using. Dedicate at least 10 or 15 minutes a day to looking at your roster, looking at your opponent's roster, looking a week ahead, looking on the waiver wire. Just doing that, just a little bit of effort in life goes a long way. It doesn't really matter what the subject or what the noun may be. If you put in the work, you're going to see you're going to see results. Be smart enough to evaluate your decision making, look back and be able to admit when you were wrong, be able to learn from your mistakes and apply it to move forward. That's not just fantasy football, that's life. That's simple. And lastly, before we get on to the mock, I just want to talk about the betting aspect of things. The patron will be going on. We got the Olympics, man. I never thought I'd be betting on the Olympics, but they've been treating me pretty good, actually. The Gold Cup, Mexico let me down, not going to lie. That's betting, though. You're going to win some, you're going to lose some. If you expect to win every bet, you're going to suffer in life from what they call unrealistic expectations, and that's a very bad road to go down. And it doesn't apply to betting either. That's the life thing. But I also just want to say that, it's a lot of fun, and if you do live somewhere where it's legal to bet, hop on board, man. We are making moves. I collaborate with other people. We're making sure that we get good, solid bets in. We have certain angles that we're going to work in. We have a certain plans. Like, we're going to hammer the crap out of the first week of the NFL, man. I mean, we're going to hit the bookies with a jab, cross, hook, uppercut, get them on the canvas kind of. That's the goal, week one, and that's what we're going to do. And there's certain ways you can go about doing that. It's just, that's where the patron comes in. You can put in some money a month. You put it in. We're going to make sure if you put in the $20 one, if we don't win the money back, if I don't win you at least $20, if I don't win you at least a single bet on one weekend, if we don't come ahead at least one weekend, I'm going to make sure you get the next month free. That's how much faith and how much confidence I have in what we're going to be doing with this. But there'll also be betting on the show, but it's joy and heartbreak. That's what betting is. It's also when you hit, and it's crazy to think about how many times you can be wrong on a 50-50 odds bet, like on a money line or a spread or an over-under. It's either going to be over or under. It's either going to be over. You either won the game by 4 points or you didn't. You either won the game or you didn't. There's some and player props, which we definitely do a lot of that. There's a little bit more to break down and a lot more to look at. It's a little bit more dynamic and complex, but there's still plenty of great odds out there. Basketball, I just study rebounding, and I like big men a lot. It's a great angle for me, so that's when we try to attack with it. But then it's just a heartbreak. Like last night, I just thought for sure Mexico was going to get it done, and we're playing a young, inexperienced USA team. It's always like a mixed emotions for me. We're always happy for whoever wins that match as a Mexican American, but it's when you bet, you want to make sure your side wins that bet. And I just thought for sure Mexico was going to get it. They attacked early, it just didn't happen. So it was, I went to extra time, so it was like 120 minutes of agony waiting for your team to win, and it didn't happen, and then you just kind of get a little sour at the end of the day. I do, because I'm a competitive person, and I'm a sore loser. That's just the way it is, but join us for the betting. We're not going to lose. We're going to win more than we're going to lose. I guarantee it. The unit count will end in a positive amount at the end of the season. All right. Hey, look at this. Charity League, the one league I'm participated in, a mock draft. We got the mock draft coming up. We got a live draft happening right now, right here with IDP Iggy. Let's take a pick right off the board. We just did the turn coming on to 3. This is the super flex. The third round, Najee Harris is off the board. Matt Ryan's off the board. So far, your boys looking at Kyler Murray and Aaron Jones. In this 16-team format, we have to get a quarterback. I want to grab a running back. There's a DK Metcalf is out there. A.J. Brown's out there. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is out there. But you're not going to get the job done if you don't have 2 good quarterbacks. So that just leaves me one choice, and I got to go with my guy, and his name is Kirk Cousins. Coming off the board. I'm glad to have him. He complements Kyler Murray. They have different bye weeks. If you're in a super flex league and you're trying to make sure you get quarterbacks, make sure they don't have the same bye week. Because even in a 12-team league with the super flex quarterback, the quarterbacks are gone. If you're going to try to pull one off the waiver and you're going to be rolling with the backup that gets nothing, 0 points. And that's not the objective of the game in fantasy football. The objective is to outscore your opponent. Weekly basis, outscore your opponent. That's the end of the game, no matter what, fantasy football. But let's get this pick. Thank you for joining on a live draft, baby. Kirk Cousins. Oh, yeah, you heard it. You heard the pick, baby. That was it right there. And welcome to the team, Kyler Murray, Aaron Jones, Kyler Murray. We're going to smoke to that real quick. In the mock draft, we got the 3rd overall pick on the 12th team. We're going to load that, and we're going to get going right after this hit of marijuana. Oh, yeah, baby. Got to get the good juice off the board. Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, 87. Remember, guys, I'm doing this off of Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard. We got the tabs on the website. Once again, go check the website, Iggy's Fantasy and Betting. All kinds of good stuff there for you. I took off a lot of the old stats. We kind of made it a little easier to read. We got the podcast plugin. We got the articles right away, but there's 2 or 3 tabs. It's links. Just get on the Fantasy Wizard. You can upload a custom draft to this. Why do you think I've been nailing some of these drafts lately? I've been uploading the rules. I've been, for example, the Charity League, 6 IDPs, 1 IDP, 1 super flex, 1 flex, no tight end requirement. Pretty different freaking league. I load up all those things, and I would draft it, and I drafted, and I drafted, and I drafted, and I drafted, and I drafted. With those specific rules, you can get so many mocks done doing this week as compared to playing with people in another mock draft that are drafting with different rules, with different mindsets, sometimes probably just throwing a kink in there just to throw a kink in there. They're like, well, this person's going to be gone. I may not even draft him, but I'm just going to draft it so that I know I can't have him. Well, man, that's just messing up your draft. Don't go do that. They even tell you there's a cheat sheet on here. They break it down for you. It is very clean at Fantasy Pros. Click the link. Go check it out. It is awesome. 87% of the experts want me to take Dalvin Cook right here. Guess what? I'm taking Alvin Kamara. I think he's going to have an amazing year. I think he's going to be RB1. I said that before the Michael Thomas injury. He's going to be asked to do a lot. He got paid, and it's time to step it up. You got to do what they ask you to do. So flying off the board, I'm going to start reading the previous picks, 5 picks before we draft on the 210 coming back around the turn. Joe Mixon, DK Metcalf, Gibson off the board, Hopkins, and Chris Carson. I like to go to the cheat sheet after we get a few picks in. It shows you who's been drafted, shows you who can still go get. A.J. Brown still on the board, Justin Jefferson. I think I've got to go get Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's going to have a good year. Expect big things from the second man. We're going to go running back heavy. It's always my strategy. I'm kind of a disciple of Michael Fabiano. Like I said, I've been doing this over a decade. So he was like the big head back in the day. He still is. Got to give him a shout out. It's nothing but love. So our team roster looking right now. We got Alvin Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. We need to go after something. Let's look at the tight ends. In this format, I like to see who's there. Darren Waller's there. We're going to go get him. We're going to go get without question, 2022 stats. Let's listen to this. This is ridiculous. What if I told you 107 receptions on 145 targets, 1,196 yards, and 9 touchdowns? Sounds like a freaking wide receiver, but it's a tight end. And, they got John Brown over there. They brought in Drake, but I still think Carr is going to be looking for Waller at any moment he needs to. So we're taking Waller, taking the best tight end off the board, because I just think there's always going to be good wide receivers. I feel like there's wide receivers. There's always wide receivers that pop up out of nowhere. Just going in the right fit, being in the right coordinating system, being on the right team with the right plan. That matters so much more than people want to give credit for. All right, and see, what I like about the cheat sheet is you can hide the drafted players. I keep them up there so I can look. Now I'm just taking them off the board because we're already fourth pick in. We're already the fourth pick in a 12-team draft, and I've been talking. It can go a lot quicker. We got Josh Allen, Kyler Murray, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson, Kenny Golladay, Brandon Ayuk, Jamar Chase. We're not really worried about a kicker or a defense yet. So in my opinion, it's got to be a quarterback right here or a wide receiver. It's really hard to pass on Adam Thielen. He's just a touchdown monster. How many touchdowns? 14 touchdowns last year. I mean, my gosh, 14 touchdowns on 74 receptions. So he's not the biggest PPR machine, but touchdowns are touchdowns, by golly, and I'm going to go get it. And there's no Kyle Rudolph, so this touchdown count could go up. That was one of Kirk Cousins' favorite picks, down low. All right, we still there. Deontay Johnson, Brandon Ayuk, Myles Gaskin, Mike Davis. That's hard not to take Mike Davis. Chase Edmonds is still there. It's hard for me not to take him. But I'm a big believer in having a quarterback that's going to get it done. We've talked about strength of schedule in other episodes. Kyler Murray has one of the best playoff schedules you can imagine. I'm not going to hesitate. I'm not thinking twice. We're taking our QB to go. So just to reiterate, here's the team again, guys and girls. Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Adam Thielen, and Darren Waller. Your 5 core players. That's how I always look at it. Who's your 5 people? 4 of those 5 people have to guarantee take you to the playoffs. That's just the bottom line. If not, you've messed off your whole draft, and that means other people nailed their draft more than likely, and you're going to be put in a very weird position where you're going to have to be doing a lot of trading. You're going to have to be doing a lot of waiver picking. And it's not bad. It's a lot of fun, but there's just not a situation you want to put yourself in, ideally. All right, Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers, Justin Herbert, but this is not a super flex league. All kickers and all defenses are still there, so we're taking our time with that. Trey Sermon's still available, really getting hyped up. David Johnson, Melvin Gordon. I think Juju, Tyler Boyd, Debo, Brandon Cooks, Will Fuller. We still have 2 more wide receivers we have to start, but we also have a flex. And I've already told you how I feel about running backs. And I'm going to go ahead and take Chase Edmonds. Now we got the Murray-Edmonds stack. Any kind of dump off in the flats, points doubling down on our points. Any touchdown that he catches out in the flats for a reception, that's a hard day to overcome. All of a sudden, you just got at least 13 points. Let's say if it's a PPR league, you got at least 13.1 points, at least. That's on one play. When you start doing that, that's hard to overcome. We got Melvin Gordon, Damian Harris, James Robinson, Ronald Jones, David Johnson, Juju still available, Tyler Boyd, Debo Samuel, Will Fuller, Michael Thomas, Curtis Samuel. I think I'm going to take Juju. I'm a fan. 9 touchdowns last year on 97 receptions, 831 yards. I think the Steelers might have to be playing late. I think they're going to try to control the clock a lot with Najee. I think their defense is one of the best always, but I think it's not going to be as great as before. That's just my overall suspicion. All right, let's see here. So let's just take a look at the last 5 players that went off the board coming back around. Melvin Gordon, Mike Williams, Trey Sermon, Leonard Fournette, David Johnson. Whew, listen to this pick right here. It was Batman and Robin team. This is our last 4 picks. Mike Davis, Raheem Morstead, Ronald Jones, Leonard Fournette. So you can get picks. That was in the 5th round, taking running backs in a 12-team league. You can definitely get good value for running back if you wait. I'm just somebody that doesn't really like to wait. We got Curtis Samuel in the wide receiver. We've also got Jarvis Landry, Laviska Shenault, James Robinson's available, James Conner, Zach Moss, Michael Carter, Kenyon Drake. All kickers, all defenses still available. Robert Tonyan, Logan Thomas. I think I'm going to just take Jarvis Landry. He's a PPR machine, but he only had 72 last year, down year for him. He played with broken ribs the entire season just about, though. So I think there's a big bounce back year from him. If Odell's over there, I think Baker's favorite target is honestly Landry, man. Ooh, Michael Gallup. That was a little sneak pick for me. Let's see. We got LaVisca still on there. Marquise Brown, Michael Pittman Jr., Marvin Jones. Man, I was so high on Pittman, but that's very Wentz dependent for me. So is T.Y. Hilton. Let's see. Devin Singletary, Gus Edwards still there. Kenyon Drake, A.J. Dillon, Michael Carter, Zach Moss, James Carter. I'm going to sit on them. There's a couple running backs I like later than that. There could be a mad run on them, so you never know. Let's see. We still got Robert Tunney and Logan Thomas. Defense and kickers are still there. Let's go ahead and load up. Let's take... man, that's a tough one. We're in a tough call. If we were on the clock right now, I don't know what we would do. Let's see here. We got a great tight end in Waller, so I'm not really ready to go grab another one. This might be a reach. Well, I'm just going to take Shenet LaVisca. I think he had 5 touchdowns, 58 catches his rookie year. I think he'll develop chemistry, getting a lot of praise out of training camp. And the Jaguars could be playing from behind quite a bit. Let's be honest, huh? I mean, that's just the bottom line truth. So we're coming around. This is the long ways around. And we got to wait. That's the danger. When you get in this area, you never know how long it'll be before one of your guys goes off the board. We came back around. There's still McCole Hardman's still there. I got to take him. I mean, second option, third option for our guy Mahomes. That's hard to pass by. That's a lot better than a second or third in a lot of other teams. So coming off the board, Gus Edwards, A.J. Dillon, John Brown, Nelson Aguilar. And we are taking one of my favorite picks. It's my guy. I'm not going to lie, J.D. McKissic. He had quite a good year last year. I'm not going to lie. He led all running backs in targets last season. Did you know that? He finished with more than Kamara, Zeke, Eckler. Nobody saw it coming. So there could be regression, but there's there. And you know what else I like about Fantasy Pros? I draft on a lot of these, formats. There's not much info. Fantasy Pros, there's a great deal of info on every player. I really like it. It's a good thing. Gabriel Davis off the board. Dang it. So let's repeat our lineup one more time. Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Adam Thielen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jarvis Landry, Darren Waller, Chase Edmonds, LaVisca Shenet, McCole Hardman, and J.D. McKissic. So we've loaded up pretty good on position-wise. Justin Tucker still there. Harrison Butker, Younghoe Koo, Baltimore Ravens. I'm going to go ahead and get Washington defense. Their defenses are starting to come off the board, and I really like them. They're going to be really good. They're playing in the NFC East. They say a slight reach. It probably was. It was probably a slight reach, but I like, it's one of my guys. I went with McKissic in Washington. Maybe they'll control a lot of games. So we're looking at the clock. Still a lot of good players available. Sterling Shepard, Jamison Crowder, Rashard Perryman, Emmanuel Sanders, Darius Slayton, A.J. Green, Denzel Mims. We do not have a backup quarterback. Tom Brady's still available. Tight ends, Gesicki, Irv Smith, Jonnu, Evan Ingram. Some people I like down the line, maybe a little better. I think it's smart we go ahead and get a good backup. And we're going to get Tom Brady. Well, what week is his bye? Let's see. Tampa Bay, yeah. Yeah, we'll take him. I think that's a good pick for Tom Brady to go ahead and have as your backup. It's not best ball, so you're going to have to pick up your lineup, which isn't a problem. Different bye week than Kyler Murray. That's what really matters if you're going to hold one long term. There's only 6 on the bench, so not as big a deal. Trevor Lawrence off the board. There was a pretty good run at QBs after that, so that was pretty smart. Jamison Crowder's still there. Wide receivers hanging on. Let's see. We have right now 5 wide receivers, and we have 4 running backs, 2 quarterbacks. I'm going to take Kenneth Gainwell. I think the Memphis product could have some multi-use kind of gadget use, and I think the Eagles might be playing from behind a lot. He could be a really good fit with Hurts. So we're adding another running back. I don't feel like you can ever have enough running backs. So that's just my philosophy on it. We're loading it up, though. This has been a pretty good draft. I'm going to go ahead and get a kicker because I like having a better kicker than a sixth bench spot. I think that's more important. We're probably going to go tight end there anyway. So let's see. And there's still so many kickers because everybody else is weighted. I like having dome kickers, to be honest with you, but you need a good offense. I'm going to go with Greg the Leg. You know, I get to take my pick. I could have Justin Tucker, Harrison Buckner, Young Hoo Koo, Rodrigo Blankenship. I'm taking Greg the Leg. I think Dak Prescott's going to score a lot of points for the Dallas Cowboys this year. And extra points count. You want touchdowns. You want field goals. Mike McCarthy, he will go for it, but he also knows better, and he'll get points on the board as well. Coming with the last pick, wrapping it up for a 40-minute, 200th episode. Yeah. It's been a lot of fun, man. I've enjoyed it. It's been one. I hope we have 200 more, man. We'll kind of wrap it up with where the show's going real quick. Last pick. We don't have a backup tight end, so let's go ahead and get one. And you know what? Let's go ahead and get Blake Jarwin. I feel really good about him. Gronk's ahead of him. Hunter Henry. Schultz could have a good impact, but I just think Blake Jarwin has a relationship with Dak Prescott. Ooh, man, look at this. Got an A-. They rank your team. I'm going to show it. We'll post it to Twitter. We'll share it to Facebook. We'll do all that jazz, man. But let's review the lineup real quick. Once again, Kyler Murray, Alvin Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Adam Thielen, Juju Smith-Schuster, Jarvis Landry, Darren Waller, Chase Edmonds, Washington football team as my defense. Greg Zuerlein, Greg the Leg for the Cowboys. Laviska Shenault Jr. On the bench. This is starting the bench. McCole Hardman, J.D. McKissic, Tom Brady, Kenneth Gainwell, Blake Jarwin. So we got depth at every position besides defense and kicker. You'd have to get those on a rotating week. Not a bad one. You know, maybe it's a shallower bench than you're used to, but once you start getting those late round picks, it kind of becomes how the draft board falls more than anything. So there you have it, man. A-, pretty good. Fantasy Pros. Go to www.iggyfantasyandbetting.com. All the links. Please subscribe to one of the podcasts. If you already listen, just click the subscribe button. Let you know when I get a new one out every day, 5 days a week. Special shows on Saturday for patrons. Sometimes I post them live as well on here. But, you know, I got articles. I'm writing you an article every day about the defense, about IDPs. Once that's over, we're going to kickstart it into something else, man. That's just how it is. You know, it's just preaching consistency, man. That's what 200 is all about. The next 200 is going to be just about consistency as well. I did get some, we've made some moves. We're going to start doing a lot more live shows, streaming live. Going to collaborate with more people. Like I said, outside the huddle. Going to be with them tomorrow. That show will go live Wednesday. Make sure you check that out. Going to be talking a lot more about memorabilia, man. Marshall Faulk. You got LaDainian Tomlinson rookie card. I got so much more stuff. Got all the coaches over there when stamps used to be 32 cents a stamp. You know, a different world, man. But we're going to be focusing on different stuff, but don't worry, there's going to be all football, baby. You know, we'll be taking live bets Friday, but it's going to be all football from when we get going. And, you know, it was fun basketball. I'll always be talking about basketball, but once the football season goes, we're going to be putting the hammer down. Remember to check out the Patreon. Remember, you can just go sign up that via www.iggyfantasyandbetting.com. Just check that all out. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you get into Patreon because we're going to win a lot of money this year, guys. We're going to win a whole lot of money. We're going to win a lot of leagues. And thank you for joining. Thank you for being here for 200 episodes. And here's to 200 more. Yeah, baby.